All right, welcome to this week's Client Attraction Clinic. That's the place where we challenge conventional thinking, we cut through the noise, and we have real conversations about business, money, marketing, and what it actually takes to build a business with impact. Now, if you're tired of surface level advice, recycled talking points, and the same worn out scripts everybody else is repeating, you're in the right place. My goal here is simple. It's to help you think more clearly, make better decisions, and see opportunities that other people miss so that you can begin to attract clients instead of chase them. So whether you're here to grow your business, strengthen your financial future, or just start asking better questions, I'm glad that you're here. So with that, let's get into it for this week. The topic for today is your lead follow-up because it's either a machine or it's a mess. So kind of like that title. It's either a machine or a mess. And folks, the difference is costing most agents more money than they realize. Now, the money is not in generating more leads. We've had that discussion already, right? The money is in what happens to the leads after they arrive. This is where trust gets built. This is where response happens. That's where timing gets uncovered. It's where appointments get set. It's where the relationship begins. And that's where a marketing campaign either becomes profitable or quietly dies inside of a CRM. And the reason this is so darn important is because most agents don't actually have a follow-up machine. I define it more as, I guess, think of it like they have a follow-up intention, right? I have the intention to do it. I have a follow-up habit. Like I like to think, oh, Tuesdays I do my follow-up. Or they have a follow-up reminder system, but it's in their head. Worse, they don't even have a follow-up, which means they have a mess. They call whenever they remember to do it, or they text when they think about it. They check in randomly. They send whatever message comes to mind, and then they wonder why so many leads disappear. So today, I want to walk you through how serious agents should think about follow-up before they spend another dollar on lead generation. So it's pretty cool. This morning I had breakfast. I'm in New Orleans, and I had breakfast with a team from Detroit. They do about 800 transactions a year. They get about 800 to 1,000 leads a month. Folks, let me ask you this. Do you think they have a follow-up system in place? Do you think they manage all those leads and all those transactions without having a follow-up system in place? They have meetings, they have CRMs, they have every step of the way. They have systems set up and they monitor those systems and they manage their team to it. So if that's what the most successful people in our industry are doing, to me, this is a pretty simple concept. Why don't we model what the really big producers are doing? Because today's call is about building your machine, because it's the follow-up machine. If it's weak, then more leads are not fixing your problem. They expose it. And so let's just start with the hard truth. Most agents are just improvising follow-up. The truth is, I'm not even sure that's 100% valid. So many agents don't even do the follow-up. Maybe at best they put them into a CRM and they get a bunch of drip emails like once a month with lemon cookie recipes. That's not follow-up. Now, they may think it's follow-up, but it's exactly what's happening. See, a lead comes in, they look at it, they decide whether it seems good. The truth is, I have no idea what criteria makes it good or not. Now, it could be that it's a $2 million neighborhood versus a $200,000 neighborhood, but that's it. Then they make one call, and then maybe they send a text or an email. Maybe even they live on the wild side and send a voice or leave a voicemail. Maybe they even set a reminder. And after that, the whole thing just becomes inconsistent. So at the very best, that's what agents do. I would tell you, in speaking at live events and things like that, more than 75% of the agents, when I ask them, what's their CRM look like? How often are you sending something out? How often are you reaching out? And the answer is, I have a CRM, but I know I need to do a better job. Folks, that's not running a business. That's just asking for trouble, right? See, one lead gets 3 touches, another one gets 1. One gets a detailed reply, another gets forgotten. One gets nurtured, another one gets buried. See, that's not a follow-up system. That's reaction. Make sense? You're just reacting based on how you feel that day or if you've seen the name or whatever it is. The problem is reaction is not scalable. So the more leads that you have, the more dangerous that system that you think you have becomes. Because when follow-up is improvised, you get all the usual symptoms. Good leads are slipping through the cracks. Agents feel busy but not productive. And marketing dollars are getting spent without enough return on it. Appointments happen inconsistently. Too much dependence on memory, mood, or timing. That's why follow-up just it simply can't be something you kind of do. It has to be something that you design. And that's the shift. Serious agents are not improvising follow up. They build it, they structure it, they know exactly what happens next. All right. When I talked with these ladies today, it's they got their stuff dialed in. They know when they're reaching out, how fast it's supposed to happen. They follow up the next day with the agent, etc. It's not an accident because when somebody raises their hand, the business needs to know how to respond, not guess, not scramble, not hope I'm going to do it. They need to know. Your machine has to start here. Not every lead deserves the same attention. I know that sounds terrible to say, but it's true. It's one of the biggest mistakes agents make. They treat all leads the same. And that's a fast way for you to lose time, lose focus, waste time, and drain energy. Because, quite honestly, folks, not every lead deserves the same urgency, the same intensity, or the same sequence of touches. And I'll talk about our lead system and follow up for listings. But think of it this way, if I have a listing lead and it's a $30,000 manufactured home, and I got a $3 million home, and I know both of them are thinking of selling, should I treat both of those leads with the same intensity, the same urgency, and everything happens the same? Can't work that way, folks. Some leads are hot, some are curious, some are early stage, some are 6 months away, some are tomorrow. Some want information, some want options, some are serious, but they're just cautious. Some are just testing the waters. So if you don't have a way to sort leads by let's say the fit, the intent, their timing, their responsiveness, their level of opportunity, if you're not sorting your leads that way, you're going to let a lot of things slip through the crack, right? If somebody says, hey, I'm going to be ready to buy in 30 days, and somebody says, I'm going to be ready to buy in 3 months, and somebody says, I'm going to be ready to buy in 3 years, should all of those leads get handled the same way? And the answer is, of course not. Now, I just call it the ABCD method. I certainly didn't create it. A is your hottest leads, B is your whatever, semi hot leads, and so on, right? D are like discard. Like you should assign your leads an A, B, C, or D, and then in your CRM, you should be able to set filter by that, right? So today I want to take and hit my A leads because those are people doing something in the next 30 to 60 days. I can go into my CRM and I can take and do different things with them. Does that make sense? So we've got to take and have a flexible system, if you will, that's based on the fit, the intent, the timing, the responsiveness, and your level of opportunity. What's a level of opportunity? I thought I should probably explain that one. It's the $30,000 mobile home or the $3 million listing. Which one do you want? That's the level of opportunity. See, and if you don't sort that stuff, you end up making two mistakes. One is you overwork weak leads, or two, you underwork the strong ones. Both mistakes are ridiculously expensive. A real follow-up machine doesn't just touch leads, it sorts them. It helps you prioritize. So it starts to help you decide who needs a fast personal call, or who should go into a nurture campaign, or who needs education. Like we do some things with FISBOs where we educate them. Now, we do that education, and we know at the end of the day, if we do it right, they come back to us. But we teach. Who needs a market update? Who's likely to raise their hand later? Who needs direct mail or a physical touch? Who needs some space? You have to be able to determine that and prioritize those leads. That's how follow-up becomes more effective because it's more intelligent. It's just a smarter way to do business, right? The goal is not maximum activity. The goal is relevant activity. You might want to write that one down. Goal is not maximum activity. Oh, I spent 8 hours today doing it. No, the goal is relevant activity. I spent an hour today following up on people that are going to do something in the next 30 to 60 days. Now, this is a big one because I see it all the time. Good follow-up does more than check in. You all know that call. Hey, I'm just checking in. See, it's another important point because most agents are thinking that follow-up means checking in, right? Hey, checking in though, folks, is just weak. It sounds generic. It sounds lazy. I didn't have anything worth saying. See, real follow-up doesn't just check in. You need to eliminate that phrase from your vocabulary. Hey, just checking in. Real follow-up creates familiarity, trust, relevance, visibility, timing, and most importantly, eventually the goal is to have them raise their hand, right? That's the basis of client attraction. I want you to raise your hand instead of me chasing you down. So that's the real job of your follow up system. And I'm going to talk about how we do it. I'm going to actually give you the scripts that we use to follow up on the listing leads that we have. And I'll be able to demonstrate that for you. What's that sound like? Because I want you to think about how people are actually making decisions, right? Most sellers and buyers don't respond because you contacted them once. That's my favorite. I was coaching an agent many years ago, and he's, hey, I got to ramp up my lead generation. I said, why is that? And he's, because my agents are complaining they need more leads. And I said, okay, cool. Here's the thing, we're not ramping up your leads. You're going to start going to them and saying, okay, here are the leads that you have. Show me how many times you've talked to them. Show me what time of the day you talked to them. What weekends you tried to get a hold of them. What text message you sent to them. Because the average agent goes, hey, I called them. They didn't answer. They didn't call me back. Duh, they're not going to call you back. So what's that follow up going to look like? See, they respond to us over time because they begin to know or begin to feel they know you or they've seen you. You seem credible, which is important, right? You sound informed. You better sound smart. Here's probably the most important one, folks. You're showing up consistently. You're not pushy. You're there to help. You're there to teach. You're a resource, right? So I always tell agents, be a resource, not a realtor. And once those things happen, when the timing is right, that's when they reach out. That's why consistent follow up matters so much. And here's the thing, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, right out of the box. Don't tell me you're just emailing. Yeah, I put them in my database. I got an email going out every 3 days. They don't read your emails very often. What else are you doing? So follow up is not about nagging them because so often I hear, it's like, I feel like I'm nagging them. If you feel like that, you probably are. What value do you provide, right? See, what follow up is supposed to do for you, it's supposed to close the gap between something like, hey, I saw this guy once, versus, hey, I think this is the person I should probably talk to. See the difference? I've seen him around, versus, hey, I think this is the person I should talk to. That's huge. See, good follow up keeps you visible, it keeps you familiar, it makes you familiar, right? Because they start seeing your name and face. Folks, I don't care if they delete your email and don't read it. I'd rather they did, but if they didn't, at least they're seeing your face. Then when you create a campaign where they're seeing you multiple different ways, that's the best way to do it. Now, a lot of the money in this business really just sits right there. I promise you, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions in your database right now. But it is, I won't say it's never, it's too big of a statement. It's never the first contact, but I promise you, folks, it's about 98% of the time, it's never the first contact. It's how consistent you are. See, it's all about what happens after you get the lead and after the first contact. That's why cold calling now, I don't find it particularly useful because nobody answers their phone anymore. But if they're responding to something and then I'm just calling and leaving them a voicemail, that's building some familiarity. And then what I say in the voicemail is also important because I don't want to be doing those things like pestering and nagging and, hey, I was just checking in. Bad way to handle it. What's important, folks? The standard that I want you to think about adapting, the machine must handle the repetitive work. Your follow-up machine, it should handle conversations, it should handle appointments, it should diagnose problems, it should be advising, it should be answering their objections and closing. The other thing I say, should I take and use AI to call people and have a conversation? My answer to that is no. Now, if you're never going to call and have the conversation, then okay, do that. But I'm sorry, we're in the conversation business. But at the end of the day, people can tell if it's AI or not. But having a conversation with people, right? I'll give you an example. You go in your database. Hey, Bob, it's been a year since we did, and I was just calling to check in. How's everything going? Week. Hey, Bob, just calling to see if there's anything I can do for you. Any kind of referrals that you need, anything to fix the house, about money or taxes, anything I can help you with. That's it. What can I help you with? See, that's where the human matters the most. So you can't AI some of that stuff. Can you use AI to set appointments and things of that? Absolutely. But too many agents are doing the repetitive follow-up manually when they should be spending more time in real conversations. Again, I can't tell you how many agents I talk to. They hold up a legal pad and they go, yeah, this is my CRM, and I make notes of when I should call people back. I guess that's better than nothing. But wouldn't it be better to wake up today and say, here's what I have to do? So I think you've heard me mention that I created an AI prompt that actually will schedule my agents time for them and tell them what they're supposed to do today, right? So the agent tells the AI, here's what I do on Mondays, here's what I do on Tuesdays and whatever. But every morning at 6 o'clock, they get an email from the AI and it says, hey, Bob, this is what's on your schedule to do. Is there anything you want to add that you have to get done today? And I'll check in after hours and see how you did, basically, is what it does. And then at 6 o'clock, right? So if I said I got to call Joe and Tom and Pete and Susie, I do that. And at 6 p.m., I get an email. It says, hey, checking in. This is what you said you had to do today. How'd you do? And if I didn't get this stuff done, then tomorrow it'll move it. So tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., it'll be a list and it'll say, hey, you didn't follow up with Susie. This needs to be your first thing today. That's a system. That's not allowing myself to forget. That's a system that I built because there come parts of it where, again, I could have an AI call that person, but that's what I'm saying. Don't automate everything. I think that could be a mistake. So if you said, hey, I need to call Susie, you had your AI system call because they're there, I think that would be a mistake. But if every time you get a lead, it requires you to invent, right? I got to reinvent the wheel. I'm starting from scratch. Folks, you don't have a system, you have a burden. A real follow-up machine should help you with immediate acknowledgement. Say that fast 5 times. Early touches. No, I haven't been drinking here in New Orleans. The cadence that you nurture with, right? It should automate reminders or market updates or newsletter touches or email sequences, right? We have a deal of the week that we go out. Same thing. We set AI up to take and gather the data for us, put it into the email format, and all my agents have to do is copy and paste it into their bold trail and send it out on Tuesday morning. The work's already done. And the truth is, if I spent more than an hour, I could probably figure out how I could take and move it from ChatGPT into Go High Level and just send it out every Tuesday. But there's a certain amount of touch and feel that I want an agent to have. Is it a really good deal? Things like that, right? What kind of text messages are you sending out? What kind of direct mail do they get? What kind of reactivation are you trying to do? See, that's what creates consistency and it reduces your waste. And what it does is it gives the agent more energy for the moments where their skill actually matters the most, when people raise their hand. That's the leverage. It's why it's better to follow up. Almost always makes every marketing dollar work harder because fewer leads are going to die from neglect. So what's a follow-up machine actually include, right? So let me break it down for you. So you might want to take notes of these. First, it's a fast initial response. Speed matters. Not because the fastest person always is automatically, but because speed creates advantage. When someone raises their hand, something should happen quickly. Could be a call, a text, a voicemail, an email, whatever, all your automation set up, right? But something has to happen. And I'll give you the script that we use, and I'll talk a little bit about it and what I think is too fast. I think there can be too fast of a response because fast response communicates professionalism. It's going to capture them while their interest is alive, and it's going to create momentum for you. A slow first response forces you to recover lost ground. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant to reach out to you yesterday. Folks, if you're saying that or you're thinking you have to say that, you already lost. The first response gives you leverage. Number two, you need a nurture cadence. What does that mean? Not every lead is now. That's normal. So what happens to the not now leads? That's where the nurture comes in. Do you have a nurture cadence? One of the things our deal of the week does for us, it's a nurturing cadence. Goes out every Tuesday, and we simply ask them, hey, if you want any information on this home, hit me back. There's language that we have. We have the exact verbiage written out. We don't vary from that whatsoever because it's simply designed for somebody to reply to the email and say, yeah, could you send me information? They raise their hand. See, a nurture cadence means you have a rhythm to your follow-up. Not random, not emotional, not whenever you remember, oh yeah, I didn't send out my deal of the week this week. Nope. A rhythm. Maybe it's immediate touch. Maybe it's 24-hour follow-up. Maybe it's 3 days or a week. Monthly value touch, right? We send out a newsletter every week about what's happening in our area. Again, folks, we have AI do it and write it, and it gets copy and pasted into the CRM and it goes out. It's like maybe a 5-minute task every week. Why do I want the agent to copy and paste it? Because I could automate it. Because I want them to read what the AI came up with and make sure it's relevant and valuable. Is it direct mail every couple of weeks or maybe just a strategic reactivation? What's that look like? I could be into a database. Haven't heard from you in a while, haven't responded to anything. Hey, just let me know if you want me to take you off my database and stop getting these deal of the week emails. And if they yes, you get an answer back that says, yes, stop. You just sort it, right? You took them to a D lead in that point. See, the exact timing is going to have to vary. But the point is this, a lead shouldn't disappear just because they didn't move immediately. Timing changes, life changes, motivation changes. You guys all have, we've all had this, right? Whereas, man, this person, I haven't heard from them in 6 months, or like Karen, we're talking beforehand, she's been working with this woman for 5 years to make an offer. She finally wrote an offer. Timing changes, motivation changes. It's the follow up machine that exists to stay relevant until the timing catches up to when it's right. The next thing, you have to have text and email. You've got to reach out and touch that way. They don't answer the phone anymore. So it's not even an option. That's part of a 21st century, really, we're into the second decade of it. It's just part of the modern follow up now. But they do need to be useful, not robotic, not spammy, not desperate. The best touches feel simple, they're relevant and specific. Maybe it's something like, hey, a quick confirmation. Hey, just wanted to see if you could make our class this week on how to sell your home for the highest market value without hiring an agent. Maybe it's a monthly value update. Maybe it's a link to something useful. For us, we use that what's happening in our neighborhood or what's happening in our community newsletter, right? But it's a question that opens up the conversation, a follow up tied to what they requested. See, not every touch needs to close. I would tell you stop trying to close on leads and start trying to be a resource. A lot of touches just need to keep the relationship alive. Next is visibility content. It's not just direct, it's about visibility. How often do they see you? It could be your newsletter, it could be your market updates, it could be your videos, it could be your social media, your direct mail. How many guys get leads and try and find them on Facebook or LinkedIn and connect with them? Your direct mail, your neighborhood content, your deals, the educational things that you do, all that counts, right? For us, we educate, on the whole Equity Max system. Hey, we're teaching a class on how you can get your 30-year mortgage paid off in 10 years or less. You want to come? That's a casual piece. Because by the time you actually speak, the call no longer feels cold. They feel like, hey, I've seen this person. Hey, if they're on a 45-minute webinar with you about how to pay their house off or how to sell their home, guys, the selling is done for you. It lowers the resistance, it builds familiarity, it builds trust, builds expertise, and familiarity matters. Then there's physical touches. That's number 5. It's way underused now, right? We keep hearing it's, oh, nobody looks at the mail anymore. Yes, they do. See, a real follow-up machine is going to include things like a direct mail or a note card or neighborhood reports, seller guides, things like that. Emails get buried, texts get ignored, physical touches stand out differently. That's how we do it for listing leads. And then the handoff. See, this is critical. The machine is not the end of the goal. The machine seems to exist to reveal the moments where you need to step in. That might be when somebody replies to a text, opens multiple emails, clicks a seller resource, scans a QR code, requests an updated value, stuff like that. See, that's when the agent takes over and does what only an agent can do, have a real conversation. Because on the conversation, here's what you need to do. You need to diagnose where they're at, you need to advise, and you move it forward. That's the balance. That's your machine for consistency. So let me give you a real world example of how we generate and convert seller leads, right? So we have high intent seller leads. We know these people are online looking to sell their house. But I want to make this real for you because sometimes people hear all this and think, yeah, okay, cool. Sounds good in theory. Yeah, I've heard that before. But what does it look like in the real world? How often do you actually think through these things? So let me show you exactly how this works with a listing lead, right? So one of the ways we generate those opportunities through direct mail postcards. We obtain the leads from our system, our platform, where we know with 60 to 80% likelihood that these people are looking to sell a home. They're online researching it. We send them a direct mail postcard, not an email, not a cold call, direct mail postcard. But they're not generic cards sent out, hopefully, that somebody notices our name and maybe thinks of us someday. That is not the game. These postcards are built to get a homeowner to raise their hand. They have a clear message, a clear offer, and a clear next step. Now, that next step is almost always tied to a QR code. So what happens is the homeowner scans the QR code and they request something specific like a home value, a report, a guide, a cash offer. We have all those things built. Or maybe another seller related resource. Hey, I want to attend your webinar. That matters because now we're not chasing a cold homeowner, are we? They've raised their hand. They're responding to something. We now know we have a high intent seller lead who's already raised their hand. They've shown an interest in something specific. And then the moment they respond, we're notified immediately. We get an email and a text message. Hey, so-and-so did this. Now, that's important. Not later, not when somebody eventually checks the system, not after the lead cools off, immediately. Here's what that call sounds like. Now, this is where I want to talk to you. Speed is important. But if you request like a home valuation, that's the first postcard in our system, and it gets delivered right away, and 30 seconds later you're calling them. Do you think that's, what's the word? Maybe not creepy, stalky, whatever you want to call it. I do. I think that's too quick. 15 to 30 minutes, quick. So let's see what this sounds like for most agents. If I told you to call them, tell me if this is what it would sound like. Hey, this is Bob with eXp Realty. Hey, you recently requested the online value for your home, and I wanted to follow up to make sure you received it. You only have a yes or a no. So if they say yes, typically the typical agents go, great, any questions on it? What's the answer that everybody says? No. Or they say, well, I didn't get it. And you go check your spam. Well, I'll call you back in a couple days to follow up on it. No, if I have any questions, I'll call. That's typically what it would sound like, right? Here's what we would say. And we have their name, right? So I would go, hey, Joe, this is Bob. Hey, listen, a little while ago, I sent over the online value for your home that you requested. And I was just calling for two quick reasons. We'll be done in 30 seconds. First, make sure you receive the darn thing. Now, I know they got it. So usually they're going to say, yeah, I got it. Cool. So my second question is, did that number look high, low, or about right to you? I didn't ask them a yes or no question because I typically know the answer is going to be, no, I don't have any questions. Did that number look high, low, or about right to you? Which of those two scenarios do you think does a better job of drawing out a conversation? That's the difference between a lead machine. We've thought this through. We've tested this because now the machine's already done part of the work. It generated the hand raise and it got the raise so that I can respond quick. And now the next stage begins, right? This is where a lot of agents ruin perfectly good leads because they get the lead and they go straight into the sales mode. You're pitching or you're pressing it, or they start acting like a homeowner requested a listing appointment. In reality, they just requested information. That's a huge mistake. See, what we do is different. We follow up with a proven script, but the point of the script is not to force an appointment. Because whatever they say, high, low, or indifferent, hey, that's awesome. Now remember, this is just an online valuation tool. It's just computer algorithms. If it's okay with you, I can do a much more detailed report for you. It'll take me about 24 hours, and I can shoot that over to you in an email. Can I do that for you? People don't want to be rude, so they go, yeah, that's the next step in the phase. And then when we send them a home valuation, again, it's something we built with AI that takes you 30 seconds to do, but it totally separates you from everybody else. See, that's the difference. The point's to begin building that relationship. Because if somebody requests a home value, for example, we just don't call them and go, so when are you going to sell? I know there are agents who do that. A, it's wrong. Two, it's just too aggressive. It's too early. It's too tone deaf for where they're at in the process. Instead, make the call sound more natural. It's easy. It's normal. It's not a harassing phone call, if you will, right? So our goal is to just simply get them talking. It gives us their opinion, also gives us insight into their mindset or their time frame, and it opens the conversation without pressure. So that's how we handle those leads. We're not hard selling. We're not forcing. We have a system in place to do that. We're giving them something useful. We build trust. We're showing competence. We're just moving the relationship forward one step at a time. And the reality of it is, folks, in 2 weeks, they're going to get another postcard from us. And 2 weeks after that, they're going to get another postcard for 8 weeks. And if at any point they scan any of the things that we send them, it automatically sends them into a monthly postcard with a neighborhood update and a new valuation of their home. They're not going to forget about us. And then we have a series of other things that we do, right? Because we're not trying to win the business on the first touch. We're trying to open the relationship the right way. And it's a really critical mind shift you really need to make, right? A lot of the agents just think follow up means, hey, get the appointment right now. But often the real win is how do I start the relationship right now? Two very different things. And when you combine things like direct mail and QR code response and immediate notification, and all that stuff, our goal is to get the hand raised. The tech will create the speed, the script creates the trust, and the trust creates the next conversation. That's how you make high intent seller leads more valuable. And that's exactly why I keep saying the money's not just in generating the lead, the money's going to be in what happens next. Now, this is the part that I really want to drive home. Better follow up doesn't just make you sound more professional, it makes your marketing more profitable. We're in the business to make money, aren't we? Because the easiest way to lead, the easiest way to waste a lead is the one that you've already paid for. Think about how much money gets lost simply because nobody responded fast enough, or nobody followed up long enough, or the lead wasn't sorted properly, or I don't know, the messaging was generic, the nurturing was weak. Nobody recognized the buy signal. See, those are expensive mistakes. So when an agent says, hey, I need more leads, sometimes what they really need is to stop losing the leads they already have, which is a much smarter first move. Because when you improve the follow up, your conversion goes up, your ad dollars work harder and better, direct mail works harder, your database gets more valuable, your pipeline becomes more stable, and probably the most important of all is your confidence goes up. And now, when you do scale your lead flow, it scales into something that's structured, not chaos, right? Remember, raised hands are the goal. It's probably the heart of our philosophy. You want to build a system that creates raised hands, not just touches, not activity, not random follow up, raised hands. And a raised hand is when somebody says, yes, send it over. Yeah, I want that report. Yes, I'd like to talk. Or I don't know, can you help me with this? Or I'm thinking about moving. Or I need an updated value. That's what the machine is supposed to create. And the reason that matters is simple. Agents waste too much time trying to force conversations with uninterested people in low probability ways. A better follow up machine creates more moments where the prospect makes the move towards you. That's client attraction. That's when selling gets easier because now you're not manufacturing interest from scratch. You're responding to an interest that's already matured. It's efficient, it's profitable. And isn't that the kind of system most agents would want to build? So, what do you do next with all this? If you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, all right, I need to fix this, where do I start? Ask yourself this: do I have a clear first response process? Do I have a real nurture cadence? Do I have a useful email and text touch? Do I have visibility content? Do I have physical follow up? Do I know when the machine hands off to me? Do I sort leads by timing, fit, and intent, or am I just improvising? See, that's your audit. And the answer is that if things are still feeling scattered, you haven't fixed that. And that's okay. You now know what to work on. The point of it is to see it clearly because once you fix the follow up machine, everything else starts getting better. Your conversations improve, your stress drops, your marketing dollars work harder, and the whole business starts to feel more intentional. And most importantly, you're starting to cash closing checks. So here's the big takeaway: your follow up is either a machine or a mess. Really, not much middle ground. And before you spend another dollar on lead generation, you need to know which one you have because the money is not in getting more leads, the money's in what happens next. It's in the fast response, it's the sorting, the nurture, the visibility. That's where the money's at. It's what makes your marketing more profitable. It's that simple, guys. It's what keeps leads from dying. It's what turns more interest into appointments. And that's why serious agents build the follow up machine first. Now, if you want the full framework where I wrote it out, it's an ebook that you can get, the 15-hour client attraction method. The reason we call it 15 hours, it's all the time we have to spend on lead generation. And the reality is we now got it down to about 6 to 8 hours a week. And if you'll download it and read it, it's going to help you build a follow-up process that turns more interest into appointments without relying on improvisation and hope. And that's where smarter growth begins. Now, you can download it at www.15hourmethod.com. 15 is the number 1 and 5. So www.15hourmethod.com. And with that, How long have I been on? Actually, this is a longer one. With that, I'll sign off for the week. And all I can do, folks, is hope you go out and start building your machine. We'll talk to you next week.